Hi, welcome to Sunday Nights with Faye Seidler. It's me, Faye Seidler. It's Sunday night. We have some great stuff to get into, so let's do that. The first thing to let you know about is going to be all of Parachico's monthly events for February. You can just assume Parachico has a ton of events going on, and you would probably be correct, and they do all of the month. Special shout out to T for T, which is a trans support group that will be happening this Thursday, I believe at 6 o'clock. I'm not sure offhand. You should check out the link that is on my weekly report, which has all the stuff I talk about. It's not just fun images, it's also links. In terms of good queer news for you to celebrate, we have FM Pride. They are continuing to do their Winter Pride, which is going to be from February 11th through the 16th. So just a ton of gay for an entire week still happening. Go out, see community, celebrate with each other, find joy, understand even in the world that we live in, you can still do that. You can still be happy. You can still find love, be in love, find joy and all that fun stuff. And Winter Pride in Fargo-Moorhead is a reminder of that. Just by happenstance, my third thing here is also about queer news. Do you want to go to college as a queer kid and not pay as much money as you have to? I think that's always the scam, right? Be gay, do crime, go to college. In that order, or a different order, your order of choosing. But if you do choose to go to college as a queer youth or adult, someone who can go to college, probably not 10-year-olds, but maybe, you can apply to the PFund Scholarship. That'll be open until March 3rd. That'll be about a month away at this point, 30 days, I think. You should apply specifically because it is my lifelong goal to absorb as much money from PFund and transfer it to North Dakota. It's part of my long-term scam to pilfer money from the rest of the nation into just North Dakota, because I find it often goes the other way for some reason, even though we're tiny. Like, it's just like, keep on taking stuff from us. So I like when it comes back. How do I say I'm not joking? Moving into politics and policy news, there is a comprehensive report on all the federal attacks against trans individuals. This is just a breakdown of it from the news. Later on tonight, I will talk about more resources that kind of even the reactions to kind of what actually will happen. But just, I think it's a good, couple 100-word primer on just all the ways trans folks are being attacked and what some are calling a very scary situation, because it is. In other politics and policy news, we have North Dakota Monitor covering the gender justice lawsuit against our state. They have been doing fantastic coverage. They've had a reporter in the courtroom every day. Of that court hearing, we have gotten incredible coverage of our doctors, of our youth, of our families, some of the best I've ever seen about covering these things in a very deep way. Even though we do often cover LG plus issues and trans issues and gender issues in the news, it is always skin deep. It is always, what do these people who hate trans folks say? Mixed with a comment of, well, how do trans folks feel about that? That's your whole story. Shucks, who do we believe? So it's great to see some actually good reporting on that that's really in depth. I don't think people have to believe any particular thing, but I do hope that they are well informed. And we have not been well informed on trans or queer issues, so this is perfect. Love it. Love the work they're doing. In equity news, I want to let you know that there's been collaborative efforts promising to end homelessness in the FM Metro, largely led by our FM Coalition to End Homelessness and the many partners that work with them. This is an ongoing issue that's kind of been, a forever problem, but recently there was quite a lot of turbulence as the city leaders were attempting to solve this with no background, experience, education, or insight. And then we suggested that was a bad direction. And then they went, yeah, I think listening to experts probably is the right play. That took us 5 months to reach that conclusion, but we got there and it sounds like we're moving into a good direction. So yay us. For opportunities, also we have the Fargo Public Library hosting a selection of female-directed movies all across February. It'll be 4 showings. I think one's already happened. And then a couple more throughout this month. You can check out my link for more information on that. Check out your local library in general. They always are doing fantastic things. Support your librarian in any way that you can. In health, social work, and education news, the Great Plains Food Bank got a major check from Hornbachers. I think this is that traditional, bowling barrel thing where you can donate money while you're at the till. So it's fantastic that a bunch of people in our community donated to the Great Plains Food Bank, and they got about $50,000 to help feed folks across our region. And that's good. I like when people get fed. In terrible news for health, social work, and education, the doctor who had illegally broken HIPAA to give away a lot of trans individuals' medical records looks like they are not going to have any charges filed against them. I do hope they lose their license because regardless of your feelings on any of that, We do not want doctors going rogue based on their own political beliefs about what medicine and what private information should be revealed. Imagine anything you said to the doctor being revealed to anyone across the world, the nation, the state, and how terrible that might be, regardless of if you feel it's justified or not. Moving into data and resources, Scary News as a CDC website has shut down quite a lot of its data portals. These are essential portals for all populations, including those experiencing disabilities, LGBT+ individuals, healthcare websites, and more. However, if you care about CDC data or data in general, there is actually a resource with the Internet Archive to download all of that and preserve it. It's important to preserve data, and luckily with the internet, we can avoid books being burned, metaphorically and literally, for as long as we can. Let's keep data alive. I'm mostly a data advocate. I think that's one of my highest advocacies. There's data. Somewhere there's tacos and cookies and energy drinks. There's suicide prevention. Those are all really big. Then second is like LGBT+ activism, fighting grocery store aisles. I think there's too many cereal choices. That's another big component of my activism. But I like data a lot. People know me for that. I have kind of a data brain. Love spreadsheets, think in them, hope we keep it. That's what we got for the CDC data. You can download it and be. In other news, we have rural North Dakota lacks mental health support. We know this if you, you know what, look at the data. But it's important to keep on revisiting this because as we talk about stuff within a lawmaking body, as it is legislative session, we will find a lot of resources tend to focus on the east side of our state and or the big cities across our state. However, a lot of people live outside of those. In fact, the majority of people live in smaller rural communities and they don't have access to adequate good support. They're also disproportionately impacted when there are things like suicide because a community of 300, when there is a suicide there, that really ripples across that community and makes even living in those small towns harder because you're reminded of it more. So it's not only more important for rural communities to have mental health support, they can be more damaged when they don't. So they kind of live in a double whammy situation that we would like to prevent. In community news, the 8th annual Frostable Festival begins in the FM area. Seems like it's a little warmer than we'd want it for a Frostable like that. I don't know if last year we had snow or not, unclear, but it seems like to be a fun winter event for you and your family if you'd like to check it out. Go ahead, do it. I also recommend Fargo Moms. That's not in any of my script here, just they're a wonderful resource that talks about events that happen, especially for parents. It's tough being a parent. You have so much work that you have to do both at home and at job at your work. It can be hard to plan things that are enriching for your family. Fargo Moms helps do that. And also Faye Mom does. Me as the internet mom, just, to you, to give you information. I feel like I could workshop that better, but I'm just going to keep it in. I think you'll like it. I think you'll like the honesty of my program. And then finally, I wanted to say that there's a good recap of the Tribal Econ Summit from Buffalo Fire. I usually try to share one or two things from them because it's always worth sharing. They do fantastic work covering things we wouldn't hear about otherwise. I have not seen the Tribal Econ event covered within any of our local news. I'm sure it is somewhere, but I haven't seen it except for the newsletter from Buffalo Fire. So check out what was discussed there and check out all the great reporting they typically do. Now, I typically move into kind of more formal story sections, but since I've been so overwhelmed with all the work with the legislative session and everything else that I'm doing, I somehow keep saying yes. I don't know where that's going to end, but instead of moving into those formal sections, I'm just going to give you a recap of some important things you need to know. All those links will be on my weekly report, like I, usually talk about. Instead of kind of going through them a little bit more detail like I normally do, I'm just going to say, hey, please check them out if you're interested. There's a lot of great stuff in there. They're both going to talk about executive orders in some way because those are the things that are impacting us quite a lot as we get confused. The first one is a bunch of links shared from the FM Coalition in Homelessness, which we already talked about, raising the roof on that place. It's really good because they deal with homelessness. Should write that down. They have a lot of resources about kind of what we're looking at with immigration enforcement, with the OBM federal funding freeze, with DEI and LG+ rights and regional resources, including me. So, that's good. But you can check that out, and I trust they have really good information about this. Keep in mind with all these executive orders typically aren't law in the same way as congressional law might be, and they cannot overwrite judicial rulings on things that have been before the courts. So a lot of stuff happening while they are kind of the dreams of the president for how we see a society function, that doesn't mean that they can ad hoc completely change our nation. It's a good thing that our nation cannot change by the whims of a single president. I don't think anyone would want that. Even if you do support Trump and the policies that they have today, there are likely going to be presidents in the future that do things you don't want, and you do not want them to have unilateral power to do that. We don't want any branch of government to have unilateral power. We had a whole war about that to start as a nation, I think, if we still teach history and all that. So there's a lot of great resources just to check out. The general vibe of these things is they're scary, they have impact, but hold your horses, and make sure you know what your rights are, because a lot of them might not have much teeth. They might flounder within the courts. The policies that they want might take years to actually happen. So scary, awful, bad stuff, but it's not the end of the world yet. We are still going to fight this, and a ton of people are fighting what is a lot of human rights crises happening right now. For my second story, it's that, but specifically for trans and queer individuals, for all those EOs about them. There's been a lot of good resources put out by the William Institute and the Human Rights Campaign about what this stuff means and what it doesn't, probably more importantly. I think the big thing to know is that trans folks can't change their passport or social security gender markers anymore, and it's recommended to not try on that. But right now it's kind of up in the air as 1,000 systems are on fire at the moment. Something to know about this is if you are 19 or younger, so if you're a legal adult at 18 or 19 or younger and you cannot access medical care, you do have a opportunity to contact ACLU or GLMA specifically to see if you want to be represented in a lawsuit. They will likely be organizations that look to sue the government over this restrictions, as it is unconstitutional, at least allegedly, that taking away your medically necessary care is something a government can do. So that's something we will continue to test the waters with. But for now, there are 3 branches of the government, and we have a lot of things to figure out and find out. I hope this episode was all right. I'm going through it pretty quickly, and I'm also kind of trying to be a little more animated and entertaining as I do it and not as stilted. Also, the less material I put out there, the less I have to edit, and I realize that's a double win. But keep in mind, everything I talk about, it's basically just vibes. If you're interested in it, I have a link with way more information. I usually look at about 40 to 50 different kind of stories, data repositories, posts that are important and relevant from organizations, and I just try to give you the stuff that seems most precedent every week. I do this every week, so every year I have like over 1,000 different things I have, and I just try to share with you what's important. So really, just please look at my weekly report. It's under my news tab and you can find it there if this is at all interesting to you. If there's stuff I'm missing that you think is important, please let me know, because I try to keep a history of all of this too. I've recorded the last 3+ years of my work in a single document of every link that I've ever looked at or shared, so we can even see a history of all the stuff that happens culturally through time. I welcome help and I need help, and that's, I guess, all I have for you tonight. I think it's going to be another busy, probably, month for me. April's looking okay, but I'm going to do my best to keep on putting this out there and be kind of a stable force of information and news for you, my audience. Love you, adore you. You are fantastic. You are the best audience in the world. You know that? Good. But that's what I have for you. So that's all I have for my show. So we'll go right to the exit now. You have a great night, and I'll see you next week. Well, thank you everyone for watching my show. That's all I have for today. I hope you have a good rest of your week. I hope we see you back here next week. Just want to give some thank yous to all the folks here who contributed to the show, who made it all a great time and informed us about the cool stuff they're doing. He will be my outro probably for a while until I choose to change it. You all have a good day. Bye.